Hi, this is a video about what I think about Black Panther, even though I haven't seen it yet, and why it's important for white people to go see it. I've heard a lot of people complain about lack of diversity as far as Black Panther is concerned, and the hypocrisy potentially of people who complain that many movies have nothing but white people in them, and why doesn't Black Panther have more of a diverse cast? And I don't think the problem is that a movie might have a homogenous cast in general, but that so many do, and that they all have mostly white people in them. And so when one a movie comes along that has a predominantly black cast, a mostly homogeneously black cast, why is that not a problem? Because there aren't that many, simply put. We look at Captain America vs. Avenger, and no one was really complaining about the lack of diversity. In fact, the fact that there was a token Asian and a token African American character in that film was seen as some sort of olive branch, whereas all of a sudden, somehow, two somewhat major characters, Claw is a major Black Panther villain, being a white person is not a token character, and he's in the movie. And suddenly it's not enough? I don't understand. Actually, I do understand. The truth of the matter is that we want to think it's okay that movies are predominantly white, and that when there's a movie that's predominantly black, we have a problem with it. Or we sense that there's some hypocrisy, that black people are angry that a movie's predominantly white when most of them are. And somehow we're supposed to be, equally angry when there is a movie that is predominantly black when almost none are. That's ridiculous. It's important. This movie is important. And I wanted to get mostly into the idea that this movie is important and why that is, and why white people need to go see it. I know a lot of people online, and I've talked to people in person that have sort of a relationship with African Americans, whether they're friends or their acquaintances or people they know online or people they just happen across online. And it's pretty simply always the same sort of situation where if something comes up, they turn to this resource and ask them, hey, why do black people act this way? As if a black person, one individual black person, when they are as varied as all white people are varied and all Asians are varied and etc., they expect them to answer for the entirety of their race, and that's just preposterous. It doesn't make any sense, but we do it all the time. And moreover, we have sort of a belief that we're entitled to stop them wherever they are and ask them to explain it to us. Like, we are trying to become better people, so help us become better people by answering our questions, even if you may not be, in a position to do so, well, or have any inclination of doing it because you don't like us or whatever. And that is a problem. That's privilege. It's saying, hey, you stop what you're doing and answer my question for me. I don't know what's going on with this issue that seems to be important to African Americans, so I'm going to ask you to stop what you're doing and tell me what's up. And that's privilege. It's saying that any African American you happen across has, an obligation to tell you anything. They may not want to. They may not be able to. They, might be busy. And they don't owe you anything, and that's the key. So why is it important for us to watch this movie? After all, this movie isn't for us. It's not. It's very clearly not for us. It is for an African American audience. So why would we watch it if it's not meant for us? Well, that's actually fairly simple. It's art, like any other form of art, like, listening to Public Enemy, or listening to KRS-One, or listening to Lauryn Hill, or, reading, Langston Hughes or Gwendolyn Brooks, or reading Chinua Achebe. Reading or listening to or viewing any form of art is a window. Now, it may not, none of that art is meant for us, and that's okay that it's not meant for us. But this is public. It is there for us to observe and to understand what another point of view looks like, understand the African American life, and understand a little bit better an African American point of view. You're not going to get it all. Nobody, no white person will ever understand what it's like to be black in America. They just can't. But every time you read another story, every time you observe another piece of art, every time you allow yourself to see something that comes from a perspective different from yours, you gain a tiny ounce of empathy. And if there's anything we need as Americans right now in this world, it's empathy. It's ability to, on some level, maybe if only a fraction of percentage, understand the point of view of somebody different from ourselves, to understand the emotional state that they are in, understand the worldview that they have come by through their learned experience, and better understand why they view the world the way they do. And that's why it's important for white people to, observe black art, because it gives us this opportunity without having to force our black friends to do it for us. It's out there in the public sphere. So look at it, observe it. That's all I have to say. Thanks.